Hi. There's a case breaking right now. It's local to me, of a couple who were murdered by this deranged man who had been stalking a woman for months. They had a court date set for tomorrow, which happens too often. The man broke into their home in the middle of the night and killed them both and then himself. Stalking is a scary situation, which I've been through twice personally. Very different circumstances. One was an ex, the other was a complete stranger. And actually the ex, I would say, was harder to deal with for a number of reasons. Something about having to look over your shoulder all the time, just jumping at shadows, it leaves you feeling unsettled and unable to trust anything around you. It shakes your very sense of security, and that's a terrifying thing, and it is a horrible thing to take from another person. I know stalking laws have improved and sentences have improved, but I still think that we have quite a ways to go. And I just thought I'd take a minute to talk about stalking. From what I'm seeing, it looks like it's about 1 in 6 women will experience it, and 1 in 17 men. The first thing, most important thing in stalking cases is to listen to your gut, listen to your instinct. If you feel like something is wrong, if you feel like someone is crossing a line, don't be polite. You don't have to push down your own response to accommodate someone else. Listen to yourself. Listen to what your gut is telling you. Trust yourself. It's possible you're wrong, but so what? You know, it's much worse to be right and ignore it. And then comes the next part that is difficult for a lot of women who are really taught to press down your own feelings and just be polite. And that is to straight out tell him or her to stop. State you do not want contact. Make it very clear in writing, verbally, whatever, but make it clear that you do not want contact, and then cease contact. Whatever happens, do not respond. Do not pick up the phone. Do not open their letters. Contact the police if they continue. Let people in your life know what's going on. In the case of the stranger, at the time I was living with my parents and I was busing home from work. And this guy would get on the bus when I got from where I was working to my hometown. He would get on the bus and just ride to my stop and get off and just stare at me. And after a while, the bus driver started skipping him. As soon as I let the bus driver know what was happening, he would just not pick him up if there was no one else there. And my brother would come and meet me at the bus stop. But these little things that he would do just to let me know he was there, it was quite scary. But having both my brother and this bus driver aware of the situation may have saved my life. It probably did protect me from this guy. So it's important to let people know what's happening. In the case of the ex, that was more complicated. There were mutual friends. There were people that didn't want to take sides, who didn't understand exactly what was happening and thought it was just a spat between us. And that was really devastating because I didn't feel right telling people not to talk to him. The most I would do is ask them not to talk to him about me, not to tell him what I'm up to. And in the end, I had to distance myself from a few people that I had really cared about because of their relationship with him. But you do what you need to do to keep yourself safe. So, yeah, make sure you're clear that you do not want contact. If they persist, make sure to document everything. Even if you're not sure that it was your stalker who left a package on your doorstep, make sure to document it. Keep track of every phone call. Take screenshots of any messages. They may use multiple phone numbers. Write down the phone numbers. Just document absolutely everything. You do want to talk to police. You do want to get a restraining order. They have value, but they will not protect you in the end. They are just pieces of paper. And it can be helpful in the case of your stalker showing up at your door and you have a restraining order to show the police and having them actually detained and removed. But it's not going to help with the guy that breaks into your home at 2 a.m. So if you're able, security cameras are a good idea. If you choose to arm yourself, I beg of you to get proper training. To be a responsible gun owner isn't just locking it away from children, it's also knowing what you're doing. You don't want your gun taken from you and used on you. Just know what you're doing in general. You know, go to a shooting range. There are lots of opportunities to learn, to improve. And if that's the route you want to take to feel safe, make sure you have everything legal and know exactly what you're doing. Be a responsible gun owner. I personally am a big proponent of large dogs. I've always had dogs in my life and they give me a lot of security. You just have to be aware of your surroundings and keep track of everything. It's more than you should have to do. We shouldn't have to worry about this kind of thing, but 1 in 6 it's a lot. It's almost guaranteed that if you haven't been through it, you know someone who has. And 1 in 17 is actually higher than I would have expected among men, but the more I think about it, the more right it sounds. I've known a few men who've gone through some pretty questionable situations with stalkers. So just be careful, please. Listen to your instincts and don't play games with a stalker. Don't try to appease them. Don't try to talk them down. They're not going to interpret things the way you intend. They're going to see things in the way they want to or in the way their delusion holds. Just report, document, and I really, really hope it doesn't reach the levels of this family in Redmond. And that's just terrifying. She reported, she talked to police, she did absolutely everything right. They had cameras. There was probably nothing more she could have done. And it sounds like the police were actually pretty responsive and they did their part. The guy was just a monster and he was coming for her. And it's sad. She didn't deserve it. Her husband, her mother, who was apparently injured but survived and managed to get out and call the police. The entire situation is just tragic. And it happens far too frequently and to different degrees. You know, it might be something that seems small, a boyfriend having trouble letting go and you feel bad for him. Not among the stalkers I mentioned. I had one boyfriend who threatened to kill himself if I left and then carved my name in his arm. And I actually went to his mother and focused on trying to get mental help for him, though I would have been perfectly justified in stepping away, calling police, and letting them handle it. Sometimes there's nothing we can do. And the best thing is to protect ourselves, do what we can, and make sure that others can step in if something does happen, that they're going to know who it was and there's a record. As this guy, he killed himself, but some of them don't. And you don't want him walking free if your stalker does do something like this. If you can't get out of it, at least catch him. Make sure to leave behind the evidence to get the guy or girl. In my experience, I've only had male stalkers and male negative situations like that. Though I've known some pretty bananas females. Anyway, I feel horrible for this family and what they're going through. And I know the fear of being stalked and how disorienting that can be. So stay safe. Listen to your instincts. They will save you. They will protect you. They will guide you. You know, no one's perfect. Things can always go wrong, but you are always better off listening to your instincts than ignoring them. So stay safe.